Rejection, it stings, doesn't it? That job you wanted but didn't get, the relationship that didn't work out, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers. In the moment, rejection feels like a door slamming shut, a painful reminder that things didn't go the way you had hoped. But what if I told you that rejection isn't the enemy? What if, instead of breaking you, it could build you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles we face, rejection, failure, setbacks, aren't roadblocks. They are the path forward. Think about the moments in your life when you were told no. Did they truly stop you, or did they redirect you? Maybe that job rejection led you to something even better. Maybe that person who walked away from you made space for someone who truly values you. The Stoics understood that rejection is not about loss, it is about transformation. It is not the universe closing a door on you. It is guiding you to a different path, one that you might not have seen otherwise. But here's the key. Only those who embrace rejection, who learn from it rather than fear it, will unlock its power. In this video, we will explore 13 powerful Stoic lessons that will help you reshape the way you see rejection forever. These aren't just abstract philosophical ideas. They are practical, battle-tested strategies that you can apply in your daily life to become mentally unshakable. So, if you've ever felt overlooked, undervalued, or like the world is working against you, this is for you. It's time to stop fearing rejection and start using it as fuel for your greatest victories. Before we dive in, take a moment to support this journey. Hit that like button, subscribe to Stoic Echoes US, and turn on notifications. By doing so, you help spread this wisdom to others who need it. Now, are you ready to transform rejection from a setback into a stepping stone? Let's begin. 1. Let success be your response. There will always be people who doubt you, who say you're not talented enough, not smart enough, or not capable of achieving your goals. But proving them wrong isn't about seeking their approval, it's about proving to yourself what you are truly capable of. When someone underestimates you, don't argue, don't explain, just work. Use their doubt as fuel, not to prove them wrong, but to surpass your own limits. If someone says you lack creativity, start a project that pushes your imagination further than ever before. If they call you uncommitted, show up every day with relentless consistency. The goal isn't a dramatic moment where you rub your success in their faces. The goal is quiet, steady progress that turns into undeniable results. Think about some of the most successful people in history. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Elon Musk was doubted at every step of his career. Even J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Did they waste time arguing with their critics? Number? They focused on getting better, on sharpening their skills, on letting their work be the only response necessary. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You don't need to convince anyone of your worth, just become so good they can't ignore you. One of the most powerful things you can do is stay silent and let your actions speak. Instead of seeking external validation, build confidence through results. Picture this. Someone tells you that you'll never succeed in a particular career. Instead of debating, you dedicate yourself to improving, learning, and refining your craft. A year later, you've grown beyond recognition, not because you needed to prove them wrong, but because you refused to let their opinion define you. That's the real victory. And here's the irony. When you focus on self-improvement, the narrative about you changes. The same people who doubted you will eventually wonder how you did it. But by then, their opinion won't matter anymore because you'll already know what you're capable of. So, ask yourself, what limits have others placed on you? More importantly, what limits have you placed on yourself? The best revenge isn't proving others wrong, it's living so fully, so successfully, that their doubts become irrelevant. Let go of the need for recognition and focus on mastery. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below. I will let my success speak. Let's commit to growth, not for validation, but for the person we are becoming. Because in the end, the only validation that truly matters is the one you give yourself. 2. Build your social status. Have you ever felt overlooked in a room, like your presence didn't matter? Instead of seeing that as rejection, consider it an opportunity. Stoicism teaches that social status isn't about chasing validation, it's about becoming a person of value. The more you grow, the more the world will take notice. But the key is to focus on who you are becoming rather than who is watching. Improve yourself first physically, mentally, and professionally. Build skills, explore new interests, and refine your strengths, not to impress others, but to create a life that naturally draws the right people toward you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of seeking approval, become someone worthy of respect." One of the most powerful ways to build your social presence is through contribution. Engage in activities that add value not just to yourself, but to those around you. Volunteering, networking, or simply sharing your knowledge with others isn't about padding your resume, it's about forming meaningful connections that last. People respect those who bring something to the table, who show up not just to take, but to give. And when you do share your journey, don't do it for applause, do it to connect. Talk about your passions, your lessons, and your experiences, not to impress, but to find like-minded people who resonate with your story. Building social status the Stoic way means shifting your mindset from being seen to seeing yourself grow. It's not about trying to fit in or gaining superficial recognition, it's about becoming the kind of person whose presence commands respect without needing to demand it. The irony? When you stop chasing validation and start focusing on personal excellence, the world starts paying attention. If you want to elevate your status, don't ask, "How can I be noticed?" Instead, ask, "How can I improve?" Because when you grow, your influence naturally follows. If this resonates with you, comment below. I choose self-mastery. Let's focus on becoming, not proving, because true status isn't given, it's earned. 3. Remove them from your mind. Rejection is an inevitable part of life, but what truly determines your path is how you respond to it. You can let it consume you, replaying the moment over and over in your head, or you can remove it from your mind and use it as fuel for growth. This isn't about pretending it didn't hurt or suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering the art of detachment. When someone rejects you, it doesn't define your worth. It simply reveals that the role in your journey is not as important as you once thought. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. True freedom comes when you stop giving power to those who do not see your value and instead focus on those who do, including yourself. Think about the times rejection weighed heavily on you. Maybe it was a job you wanted but didn't get, a person you cared for who walked away, or an opportunity that slipped through your fingers. The mind naturally clings to what it lost, analyzing every detail, wondering what could have been different. But this is a trap. Replaying the past doesn't change it. It only drains your energy and keeps you stuck. The Stoics believed in shifting perspective. Instead of seeing rejection as a door slammed shut, view it as a redirection towards something better. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? When you detach from the emotional weight of rejection, you begin to see it for what it really is, an invitation to evolve. One of the most powerful ways to remove someone or something from your mind is to shift your focus entirely. Pour your energy into activities that challenge you and expand your world. Read books that stretch your thinking, take up a skill that excites you, or engage in something physically demanding that forces you to be present in the moment. When you immerse yourself in growth, the space once occupied by rejection becomes filled with new possibilities. I remember a time when I was fixated on an opportunity I lost. I kept thinking about why it didn't work out, questioning my own abilities. But then I channeled that energy into something new. I took on a project that pushed me out of my comfort zone. Looking back, that rejection was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it forced me to go in a direction I hadn't considered before. Another crucial step is surrounding yourself with the right people. When you are rejected, it's easy to isolate yourself, to dwell in self-pity. But this only reinforces the pain. Instead, seek out those who uplift and inspire you, friends who challenge you to be better, mentors who guide you forward, communities that support your growth. In their company, rejection becomes less significant because your sense of self-worth is no longer dependent on external validation. You realize that your value isn't determined by the approval of one person, one job, or one opportunity. It is built through continuous self-improvement and resilience. It is also important to recognize that removing someone from your mind doesn't mean bitterness or resentment. True detachment isn't fueled by anger, it is fueled by peace. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that you don't need anyone's validation to move forward. It is choosing not to let someone's rejection live rent-free in your head. If a person didn't see your worth, that is their limitation, not yours. If an opportunity didn't work out, that doesn't mean another won't come. When you stop fixating on what is gone, you make room for what is meant to be. So, how do you truly let go? Start small. The next time you catch yourself overthinking rejection, pause and redirect your focus to something productive. Challenge yourself to go one full day without dwelling on the past. Engage in something that excites you. Journal about what you've learned from this experience rather than what you lost. Most importantly, remind yourself that your story is still being written, and no single rejection can define its ending. If this resonates with you, comment below, "I free my mind from what no longer serves me." Let's commit to moving forward, not backward. Because at the end of the day, rejection is never the end, it is simply the beginning of something new. 4. Ignore them. When someone ignores you, it's easy to take it personally. You start questioning yourself, wondering what you did wrong, or worse, trying to win back their attention. But here's the truth. Their indifference is not a reflection of your worth. The moment you stop chasing those who overlook you, you reclaim your power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Why do we give so much weight to those who show us so little?" When someone chooses to dismiss you, let it be their loss, not your burden. Instead of wasting your energy trying to decode their silence, invest it in something that actually matters yourself. Think about a time when you were ignored by a friend, a colleague, or someone you admired. Did obsessing over their indifference change the situation? Or did it only drain you, making you feel smaller in the process? The most powerful response to being ignored isn't to fight for attention, but to rise above it. Shift your focus entirely. Dive into personal growth, pursue your goals, and surround yourself with people who value you. If someone overlooks you, let them. It frees up space for those who genuinely appreciate your presence. This isn't about bitterness or revenge. It's about self-respect. The more you thrive, the more their absence becomes insignificant. I once knew someone who spent years trying to prove their worth to a group of people who never truly valued them. Every message left unanswered, every invitation declined, chipped away at their confidence. But the moment they stopped seeking approval and focused on their own growth, everything changed. They built a fulfilling career, found meaningful friendships, and cultivated an inner peace that no external validation could shake. And guess what? The same people who once ignored them started paying attention. But by then, their attention no longer mattered. That's the beauty of self-respect. It makes you immune to the opinions of those who never deserved your energy in the first place. So, what's the lesson here? It's simple. Your value does not decrease just because someone fails to acknowledge it. If someone ignores you, let it serve as a reminder that you should never have to beg for attention, respect, or appreciation. Instead of trying to prove your worth to the wrong people, spend that energy on becoming the best version of yourself. Ask yourself, why am I giving power to someone who doesn't see my value? What could I accomplish if I redirected my focus? The answer lies in your actions. Stop waiting for them to notice you and start building a life that speaks for itself. If this resonates with you, comment below. I choose self-respect, because at the end of the day, the most powerful thing you can do is ignore those who ignore you and thrive without them. 5. Act as if they don't exist. When someone deliberately ignores you, the most powerful response isn't confrontation, it's indifference. Not out of bitterness, not to prove a point, but to protect your own peace. If a person chooses to overlook you, let them. Don't waste your energy trying to force a connection that isn't meant to be. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." That is the mindset of true strength. Your value does not shrink just because someone refuses to acknowledge it. Instead of seeking validation, shift your focus toward those who appreciate your presence. If you're at a social event and someone makes an effort to ignore you, do not chase their attention, turn toward the people who genuinely want to engage. Redirect your energy toward meaningful conversations, toward those who uplift you, and leave no room for those who don't. There will be moments when ignoring someone entirely isn't an option. Perhaps they are a co-worker, a family member, or someone you must interact with occasionally. In these cases, keep it professional, keep it civil, and most importantly, keep it distant. There is no need for hostility, but there is also no need for warmth where none is given. Keep conversations brief, to the point, and devoid of personal investment. Not as an act of coldness, but as a boundary, a way to make it clear that you no longer place importance on their presence. This isn't about playing games or trying to make them feel irrelevant. It's about ensuring that their indifference doesn't disrupt your peace. The moment you stop trying to earn their attention is the moment you regain control over your own energy. Think of the time and effort you've wasted trying to decode why someone is ignoring you. Did they lose interest? Did you do something wrong? Should you reach out again? None of these questions lead to anything productive. The more you dwell on someone else's lack of effort, the more power you give them over your emotions. But what happens when you let go? When you stop reacting, stop hoping, stop overanalyzing, you become free. You become someone whose confidence does not waver based on the recognition of others. And here's the irony: the moment you stop caring, the moment you truly move on, that's when they often notice. But by then, their attention no longer holds any weight. This isn't about winning a silent battle of who can care less. It's about reclaiming your energy, walking away when necessary, and focusing on what actually matters. If someone's absence leaves a void in your life, don't try to fill it with frustration or longing. Fill it with growth, with purpose, with people who see you. If you find yourself in a situation where someone is intentionally ignoring you, ask yourself, is their presence truly necessary for my happiness? More often than not, the answer is no. And if it is, then they would be making the effort to be present in your life. So why should you give them any more of your attention? If this resonates with you, comment below, "I choose my peace." Because at the end of the day, the strongest response to indifference isn't proving you're worth it, it's realizing you never needed their approval in the first place. 6. Don't beg for attention. When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to chase after their attention, to prove your worth through louder words or grander gestures. But the Stoic way teaches otherwise. Your value does not fluctuate based on who notices you or who does not. The moment you feel the urge to beg for recognition, stop and ask yourself, why does their validation matter so much? Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Think about that. Why do we allow others to dictate our self-worth when we should be the ones guarding it? Instead of seeking approval, embrace the power of self-sufficiency. A tree does not beg the sun to shine on it. It simply grows, reaching towards the sky, knowing its roots are strong enough to sustain it. Likewise, your focus should be on nurturing your own growth, engaging in work and passions that fulfill you, and surrounding yourself with people who truly value your presence. In modern life, we often see this need for attention play out on social media, people desperately seeking likes, comments, and validation from strangers. A person might post an image, not because they love it, but because they crave recognition. But does that approval change who they are? Does it make them any more valuable? If the likes stop, does their worth disappear? The truth is, real confidence comes from within, not from digital applause or fleeting admiration. Picture someone deeply engrossed in their craft, an artist painting, an entrepreneur building a business, an athlete training in solitude. They are not performing for an audience. They are immersed in what they love. That is where real fulfillment lies, in the quiet dedication to something meaningful, not in the noise of temporary attention. When you invest in your own growth and happiness, you naturally radiate confidence, making validation unnecessary. So, what would happen if, instead of chasing attention, you directed all that energy into improving yourself? What if, rather than worrying about who notices you, you focused on creating a life that makes you proud? The irony is, The less you seek attention, the more magnetic you become. People are drawn to those who are self-assured, who are too busy building their own world to beg for a place in someone else's. The lesson is simple. Stop waiting for others to recognize your value. Recognize it yourself. Build a life so fulfilling that attention becomes an afterthought, not a necessity. Your worth is not up for debate, nor is it dependent on someone else's gaze. Live for yourself, not for their approval. 7. Be kind but emotionally distant. Life will often place you in situations where your kindness is met with indifference, where people ignore you, dismiss your efforts, or fail to reciprocate the warmth you extend. In such moments, the natural response might be frustration or hurt. After all, we are wired to seek acknowledgement. But true strength lies in choosing kindness without attachment, in being good to others without allowing their reactions to dictate your inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that our actions should be rooted in virtue, not in expectation. If you greet someone with warmth and they respond with coldness, that is a reflection of them, not you. Your kindness is a gift, not a contract that demands repayment. Seneca once said, "A wise man is content with himself." This means your sense of self should not be swayed by how others treat you. Instead, like an anchor in rough waters, you remain steady, responding with grace but never allowing external forces to disturb your emotional equilibrium. Consider how this plays out in modern life. Perhaps at work, you go out of your way to help a colleague, yet they barely acknowledge your efforts. Or maybe you send a message to a friend, only to be met with silence. It stings, doesn't it? But ask yourself, should their response determine your peace? If you base your emotions on how others act, you hand them control over your well-being. Instead, embrace the power of emotional distance. This does not mean becoming cold or shutting people out, but rather setting a boundary between your kindness and your emotional state. Respond with a polite nod, a genuine but unattached "Hope you're doing well," and move forward without lingering on how they react. Emotional detachment is not about arrogance or indifference, it is about self-respect. It is understanding that you are responsible for your actions, not for how others perceive or respond to them. When you master this, you become unshakable. The person who ignores you no longer has power over your emotions. The colleague who takes your help for granted no longer affects your self-worth. You operate from a place of strength, not neediness. So, the next time you feel the sting of indifference, take a deep breath and remind yourself, your kindness is a reflection of your character, not a plea for validation. You can be warm without being fragile, compassionate without being dependent. By practicing this, you move through life with dignity, kindness, and an unbreakable sense of self. What would change in your life if you no longer let the actions of others determine your happiness? 8. Master your reactions. When rejection hits, the urge to react emotionally can be overwhelming. Frustration, sadness, or even anger might bubble to the surface. But here's a truth that Stoicism teaches. Your power lies not in how others treat you, but in how you respond. Marcus Aurelius put it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The world will not always be kind. People will ignore you, and situations won't go your way. But your emotions don't have to be at the mercy of these external forces. Breath and pause. Ask yourself, why does this moment affect me so much? Is it truly about the rejection, Or is it my own fear of not being enough? More often than not, the pain comes from within, our own insecurities, our need for validation, our attachment to outcomes. But what if you could train yourself to rise above these fleeting emotions? What if, instead of reacting, you responded with clarity and control? Think about someone who remains calm under pressure, a leader who doesn't flinch when things go wrong, a person who receives bad news yet remains composed. There's an undeniable strength in that, isn't there? In everyday life, we see the opposite all too often. A co-worker snapping over criticism, a driver losing their temper in traffic, a friend overreacting to a simple misunderstanding. Emotional reactions often make things worse, not better. But those who stay calm, who take a moment to reflect before speaking or acting, carry an aura of self-mastery that commands respect. Next time you feel ignored or dismissed, try this. Instead of reacting, observe your emotions like an outsider. Breathe. Acknowledge what you feel, but don't let it dictate your response. If you choose to engage, do it with grace, not desperation. Decide to walk away, do so with dignity, not bitterness. This isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about not being ruled by them. There's incredible freedom in knowing that no matter what happens outside of you, your inner world remains steady. And when you develop this mindset, you become unshakable. Your self-worth is no longer tied to how others treat you, but to how you carry yourself. The irony: when you stop seeking validation, people are drawn to you. Strength, composure, and emotional discipline are rare and deeply attractive. So ask yourself, how different would your life be if rejection no longer had the power to unsettle you? What if, instead of fearing indifference, you saw it as an opportunity to practice self-control? This shift in mindset is not just about surviving difficult moments, it's about transforming them into stepping stones for growth. And that is the true essence of Stoic wisdom. 9. Give them the silent treatment. Silence is not about punishing others, it's about protecting yourself. When someone ignores you or treats you with indifference, the immediate reaction might be to demand answers, to confront, or to make them see your worth. But Stoicism teaches that true power lies not in reacting, but in maintaining your composure. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where silence becomes your greatest tool. It is not a weapon to manipulate, nor is it an attempt to get the upper hand. Instead, it is a choice to step back, reflect, and regain control over your emotions. When someone refuses to acknowledge your presence, you do not have to beg for their attention. Instead, let your silence be a mirror, a space where you assess your own thoughts and emotions. Ask yourself, why does this affect me? Is it truly their rejection that hurts, or is it my own insecurity? This self-examination allows you to shift your focus inward, where your true strength lies. Think about how this applies in everyday life. Maybe a friend suddenly stops responding, a colleague dismisses your ideas, or someone you care about acts as if you don't exist. The natural impulse is to react, to push for a response, to prove your worth, to let emotions take over. But what if, instead, you chose silence? Not as a cold dismissal, but as a way to preserve your dignity. Look at the most composed individuals, the ones who do not chase, who do not plead, who do not let the behavior of others dictate their emotions. These are the people who command respect, not because they are indifferent, but because they are self-sufficient. Your silence should not be about shutting down or building walls, but about redirecting your energy toward things that truly matter. Instead of focusing on those who ignore you, invest in those who appreciate you. Instead of seeking validation from people who withhold it, find it within yourself. By choosing silence, you are making a statement that your peace is not up for negotiation. You are refusing to be drawn into pettiness, refusing to play mind games, refusing to let external actions control your internal state. This is not about passive aggression, it's about emotional discipline. The less you react to negativity, the more powerful you become. You are not withdrawing from the world. You are simply choosing where to invest your energy. So, ask yourself, where in your life could silence serve you better than words? How much more peace would you have if you stopped responding to things that don't deserve your attention? When you master the art of silence, you master yourself, and that is the ultimate freedom. 10. Cut off contact. Cutting off contact is not about revenge, manipulation, or making someone miss you. It's about reclaiming your power. When someone rejects you, ignores you, or treats you as if you are disposable, the instinct may be to chase, to demand an explanation, to seek closure. But true strength lies in resisting that urge. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to change someone's perception of you, step back. Choose silence. Not as a game, but as a declaration of self-respect. When you stop seeking validation, you start rediscovering your worth. The moment you decide to walk away without argument or pleading, you shift the power dynamic, not over them, but over yourself. This silence is not passive. It's an active, intentional decision to stop engaging where you are not valued. It is an opportunity to reflect, recalibrate, and remind yourself that your identity is not defined by another person's recognition. Think of how this applies to everyday life. Maybe it's a friend who only reaches out when they need something, a romantic interest who keeps you at arm's length, or a job that undervalues your contributions. In a world obsessed with instant responses and digital validation, the act of stepping away speaks louder than any words ever could. It says, I do not beg for attention. I do not chase people who are indifferent to me. I focus on what serves my growth. This is not about punishing others, but about setting a boundary that protects your peace. The moment you cut off contact, you create space to heal, to focus on yourself, to invest in people and experiences that uplift you rather than drain you. Ask yourself, how many times have you clung to relationships or situations that did not serve you out of fear of being alone? How often have you sacrificed your own well-being just to keep someone else in your life? What if, instead of holding on, you let go and redirected that energy toward yourself? By choosing to remain silent and walk away, you are not just showing restraint, you are practicing self-mastery. This doesn't mean you stop caring, but it does mean you stop allowing others to dictate your emotional state. Cutting off contact is not about being cold or bitter, but about understanding that not everyone deserves access to you. It is a reminder that your time, your energy, and your presence are valuable. And the less you tolerate disrespect, indifference, or inconsistency, the more you attract the people and opportunities that align with your worth. So, the next time someone makes you feel unseen or unimportant, instead of reacting, step away. Observe the silence. See what happens when you prioritize yourself instead of seeking validation. Because in the end, the real power is not in forcing someone to notice you. It's in realizing you never needed their approval in the first place. 11. Find joy. Keep moving. Life is not meant to be spent dwelling on rejection or retreating into isolation. When faced with setbacks, the strongest response is not to sulk, but to live fully. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control external events, we can control our reactions, and choosing joy in the face of disappointment is a powerful act of defiance. Instead of allowing rejection to weigh you down, shift your focus to experiences that remind you of your own worth. Go out, explore, and engage with the world. The best way to counter the sting of rejection is not through anger or self-pity, but through action. Do something that excites you, whether it's trying a new hobby, revisiting an old passion, or immersing yourself in activities that make you feel alive. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Your happiness does not depend on someone else's validation. It exists in your ability to create moments of joy for yourself. Think about how often people allow a single rejection to define their mood, their day, or even their self-worth. Perhaps a job opportunity fell through, a relationship ended, or someone's indifference left you questioning your value. The temptation is to withdraw, to let the disappointment consume you. But what if instead you responded by stepping outside and doing something that reaffirms life? Go for a hike and feel the strength of your own body moving forward. Join a local event and connect with new people. Pick up a creative pursuit, not for approval, but for the sheer enjoyment of it. The world is filled with opportunities, yet so many people close themselves off simply because one door has shut. But rejection is not an end. It is an invitation to explore new paths. How many experiences have you denied yourself because you were too busy fixating on what didn't go your way? What could you discover if you stopped looking at rejection as failure and started seeing it as redirection? Surrounding yourself with positive experiences and meaningful interactions reminds you that life is bigger than a single disappointment. Laughter with friends, the excitement of learning something new, the thrill of stepping into the unknown, these are the moments that shape you far more than any rejection ever could. Rejection does not diminish your worth, nor does it dictate your future. The real measure of your strength is in how you respond. Every time you choose to move forward, to embrace life instead of shrinking back, you grow. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more open to the endless possibilities around you. So, instead of retreating, take action. What's something new you've always wanted to try? Who have you been meaning to reconnect with? What part of the world have you yet to explore? The best revenge against rejection is not proving your worth to others. It's proving to yourself that their absence changes nothing. You are still here, still thriving, and still capable of living a fulfilling, joyful life. 12. Demonstrate your value. Rejection is not a verdict on your value, it is a test of your resilience. When someone overlooks you, dismisses your contributions, or fails to recognize your potential, the worst thing you can do is let their perception define you. Instead of reacting with frustration or self-doubt, use that energy to refine your craft, sharpen your skills, and prove, not to them, but to yourself, that you are more than their oversight. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The true measure of your worth is not in how others treat you, but in how you rise despite their indifference. If you were passed over for a promotion, instead of sulking, take on new challenges that showcase your abilities. If your ideas were ignored in a meeting, keep refining them until they cannot be overlooked. The world will not always recognize your efforts immediately, but your consistency and determination will eventually speak louder than any rejection ever could. Think about the most successful people you admire. How many of them had a smooth journey without setbacks? Likely none. Every great leader, innovator, and artist has faced rejection at some point, but what sets them apart is their response. A musician doesn't quit after a failed audition. They practice harder and find another stage. An entrepreneur doesn't abandon their dream after one investor says no. They improve their pitch and knock on the next door. Rejection is not a wall. It's a sign pointing you in a different direction, often towards something even better suited for you. So when life tells you no, instead of shrinking back, ask yourself, what can I do next to prove my own value? What skill can I refine? What opportunity can I create for myself rather than waiting for someone else's approval? The moment you shift from seeking validation to demonstrating your worth through action, you reclaim control over your path. This is not about pretending rejection doesn't hurt. It does. But Stoicism teaches us to acknowledge our emotions without letting them dictate our actions. Disappointment is natural, but dwelling on it is a choice. Instead of focusing on why someone failed to see your value, focus on becoming so capable that their oversight becomes irrelevant. Develop your skills, take ownership of your progress, and move forward with unwavering confidence. When you do, rejection stops being something to fear and starts being a tool for growth. The only question is, will you let it break you, or will you use it to become even stronger? 13. Don't reveal your struggle. When someone ignores you or treats you with indifference, the temptation to expose your struggles, to make them see your pain, can be strong. But true strength lies in restraint, in the ability to carry yourself with dignity even when things feel difficult. Stoicism teaches us that composure is not about pretending to be unaffected, but about developing an unshakable inner core that does not rely on external validation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Your struggles are yours to face, but they do not need to be displayed for the world to validate. Moving forward with confidence, even in adversity, is not an act of deception. It is a reflection of true resilience. The world does not need to know every hardship you endure, nor does broadcasting your struggles make them easier to overcome. Instead, channel that energy inward, focusing on steadying yourself rather than proving your pain to others. Think about the people you admire, the ones who exude quiet confidence, who face setbacks with grace, who do not seek sympathy or attention when things go wrong. Their strength is not in words but in action. A person going through financial hardship does not gain respect by complaining, but by working diligently toward a solution. Someone experiencing heartbreak does not earn admiration by broadcasting their pain, but by continuing to live fully, embracing growth rather than seeking pity. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about managing them in a way that builds resilience rather than dependence on external reassurance. How often have you seen people overshare their struggles, hoping for sympathy, only to receive temporary validation that does not truly help? What if, instead of seeking comfort from others, you found power in yourself. By choosing not to reveal your struggles, you reinforce your own stability. This is not about hiding what you feel, but about refusing to let your hardships define you. A steady mind, a calm demeanor, and a composed presence are marks of true inner strength. When faced with rejection, disappointment, or hardship, ask yourself, do I need the world to see my pain, or do I need to see my own ability to rise above it? Your response in difficult times is not just about appearances, it is a mirror reflecting your own character. The less you depend on external validation, the stronger you become. So, the next time you feel the urge to expose your struggles for the world to see, pause. Redirect that energy into growth, into action, into proving to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and in control. Strength is not in what you show, it is in what you overcome. We've explored 13 powerful Stoic lessons on overcoming rejection, turning every setback into an opportunity for growth and self-mastery. Remember, rejection is not the end. It's a chance to refine your strength, sharpen your resilience, and prove to yourself that your worth is never defined by external validation. Now, it's your turn to apply these insights in real life. How has rejection shaped your journey? Have you ever turned a no into a stepping stone for success? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else on their path. And if you found value in this session, support our community by subscribing to Stoic Echoes US and hitting the notification bell. Let's continue mastering the art of resilience together. Stay strong, stay focused, and as always, stay stoic.